Hi guys! Again, another little video diary from me. Um, I haven't been hugely vocal about the Black Lives Matter movement. I've said a little bit, I've shared posts, I've had a few conversations with a few friends, but I wanted to come on and talk because honestly, I feel like some things need to come from white people to white people. Um, and a lot of white people don't see past the color of people's skin, regardless of what that color of skin is. So, something that has always really pissed me off, um, particularly like in Ireland, I know that it happens in the UK, um, and it's something that has really pissed me off, is when white people, particularly, give out about immigrants coming into the country. They struggle with the clash of cultures, which everyone struggles with culture clash. That's totally normal and that's fine. But they give people a really hard time over it. They give immigrants a really hard time over it. It's made me really angry to read some of the posts that are being shared on Facebook that are basically like, we welcome immigrants, but don't bring your culture here. Don't try and make us live in a different way. Don't try and change who we are. Earn your place in our society. And yes, we all contribute to society. We all contribute to the way the world works. And it's absolutely on everybody to play their part in society and in the community. What I do want to point out is that when the likes of refugees and immigrants come into first world countries, I hate that term, but when people come to our country, when people come into Ireland or the UK, particularly in Ireland at the moment with all the conversations around direct provision, which is freaking horrific, they aren't exactly given the best start. As refugees, they come in and they get put into these direct provision centres, which were set up 20 years ago as an emergency response to an influx of refugees into the country. And it was supposed to only be a 6-month thing that was put in place to help the country create a better programme. That was 20 years ago. Okay, just to put that into perspective for anyone who was wondering what direct provision is and why there's so much outcry about it. It was an emergency response put in to help 20 years ago, to help the country find, like, just to give them time, the government time, to figure out a better way of helping people connect with the Irish community and to start their lives. It was supposed to last 6 months, and that's 20 years later. Okay. But something that I want to come out from a personal point of view, which just, oh my god, this just makes me so freaking irritated, is that what a lot of people don't seem aware of when they're posting things up on social media, is that, and which I suppose what irritates me and why it's so close to home for me, I'm an immigrant. Okay, I moved from Kenya when I was 9. I didn't want to come here. I didn't want to come to Ireland. I was dragged kicking and screaming halfway across the world. I left my entire life behind for a better life. I still have friends and family out in Kenya. I hugely struggled and lashed out against the cultural change. I was extremely lucky with my family that my grandparents already lived here, so they were able to help us get started. And my dad started applying for jobs as soon as he arrived here, which a lot of people do, but the struggles that a lot of people have is that when they move to a new country, they're not allowed to apply for jobs. There's so many restrictions in place. There's so many people in direct provision who are qualified nurses and doctors and psychologists, and they're amazing, incredible people. There's plumbers and builders and so many qualified people who aren't allowed to work. So when people come in and give out about immigrants coming into the country and not pulling their weight, it's because they're not allowed too. Okay, so just putting that out there. My dad was really lucky. He was able to get a job relatively soon after we moved over here. The only reason I have Irish citizenship is because my grandmother was Irish. Without her Irish citizenship, I wouldn't have gotten my citizenship. I wouldn't be considered Irish, okay? But because my skin is white, people assumed that I was born and bred here. And when people hear my accent, a lot of people can't figure out where it's from. I live in Northern Ireland, and even now so many people can't figure out my accent. They know that it's Southern, but they know that it's not just Southern. And it really irritates me when so many people give out about immigrants coming into this country and not being able to fit into society, or not being able to pull their weight, or, forcing their culture on other people. There are words in Swahili that I do not know the English translation of. So I'm in rehearsals with my kids, and I'm like, I know that I'm supposed to be able to communicate this thought in my head in English, but I do not know. And I'm not a fluent Swahili speaker. There are just certain parts of my culture that I grew up with that I don't know the Irish version of. There is so much of Irish culture that I don't understand. Even things that, like, programs that my friends all grew up with watching on TV. It's a completely different world. But because I'm white, I've got away with an awful lot. I totally lashed out when I first moved here. I did not understand the culture. I didn't understand the people. I couldn't tell people apart. I was so not used to living in such a white society. When I went to school in Kenya, it was a really, really mixed culture. I went to school with every different color and ethnicity and religion on the entire planet, and I couldn't wrap my head around why people over here couldn't understand that racism was bad, and that over here it was a thing that Christianity was the only religion and every other religion was bad. That was a big thing that was kind of drilled into me in school. And I struggled so hard, and I still struggle with the mindset of people in Ireland. And I'm not saying that all Irish people are bad. Irish people are amazing. I absolutely love living here. But it's just a reminder that, just because you see the color of someone's skin, don't assume anything about that. Don't assume anything about that person. I had a friend in school who was black, okay? One of my friends in school was black, and he was more Irish than I could ever be. He wasn't born here. He moved here when he was about 6 months old. And he had the strongest Irish accent, and he was more freaking Irish than I will ever be, right? But yet there's that distinguish, because he's black and I'm white, so therefore I'm more Irish. But he knows more about Irish culture. He's been brought up more Irish than I ever have. He has spent less time in Africa, even though that's officially where he was born, than I've spent more time in Africa than he has. He spent his entire life in Ireland. And I just could never wrap my head around why people would just assume that I was the Irish person, he was the African person, because of the color of our skin. So my point is that people need to ease the frick up when it comes to immigrants coming into the country, as well as the color of people's skin. Okay, just because someone has a specific skin color, it does not tell you anything about them. It doesn't tell you a single thing about them. So don't freaking assume that just because the color of someone's skin is a specific color that you don't associate with, or you can't entirely understand, don't assume that you know anything about them. Don't assume you know anything about their lives, because they're humans too. Everyone is a freaking human being with a backstory and a life and a family and friends. And the other thing that's really been pissing me off, oh my god, sorry, I've just got so angry about all this, and I was like, I actually need to finally say something because it's just really irritating me, is that this concept of all lives matter. Yes, all lives matter. Of course, all lives matter. Everyone's freaking human, okay? And there's been a lot of outcry about the fact that, you know, there wasn't riots in the street when black people commit crimes. But now there's riots in the street because black people are being, because black people have been like really badly treated by the police force in the States, because racism is a huge problem in Ireland, in the UK as well, and all over the world. Okay, and people are getting really pissed off because if someone who's black commits a crime, white people don't go out and protest, right? And they're like, is everyone protesting to protect the blacks? Every single race commits a crime, okay? Every single race commits a crime. You have rapists and murderers and like every single crime, like thieves and every crime on the planet, okay, is committed by every single race. Black Lives Matter isn't about the fact that black people don't commit crimes. That's not what this is about. This is about the fact that every single race commits crimes, and every single race deserves to be treated with respect and equality. This isn't about everyone should go up in arms because a black person commits a crime. This is about the fact that because of the color of their skin, they're being targeted and people assume that they're criminals and therefore are being murdered by police. They're being called out by people in the street. I read an article. There was a guy who put out a statement basically saying that in all the years that he has lived in his neighborhood, he has never gone for a walk around his own block, right? The place where he's lived for years. He's never gone for a walk without his daughter and his dog, because when he's with his daughter and his dog, he's just a father and a pet owner. When he walks out by himself, he's targeted as a black person. He's targeted as a black man and people assume he's a criminal. How the hell is that fair? How the freaking hell, when a white person walks around the block, they don't have to worry about whether or not someone's going to call the police on them because they're black, okay? White people commit crimes too. And white people should be freaking held accountable for their crimes just as much as everyone else. So this isn't about why are people not standing up when a black person commits a crime. This is about the fact that black people are targeted as criminals because of the color of their skin. And white people get away with shit because of the color of their skin. That's what this is about. Okay, so if anyone has been wondering or has been pissed off about the fact that the protests have been happening, if anyone has been confused about the Black Lives Matter movement and doesn't understand and thinks it's not relevant to the UK or to Ireland and it's only relevant to America, and George Floyd is an American, so therefore it's just Americans that should be protesting. This is a problem all over the freaking world, okay? Get yourself out of your head and realize that this is a problem in every single country. And that is why the entire world is standing up for Black lives. I'm not even going to go into the pandemic side of things because I understand that people are concerned about the fact that so many businesses and so many lives have been lost and so many people have sacrificed so much to protect their loved ones when it comes to the pandemic and to COVID-19, and I understand all of that, and I'm not even going to get into that because honestly what's going all over the news, like all over Facebook at the moment, is nothing to do with the fact that there are protests. It's the fact, or nothing to do with the fact that it's COVID. People are just annoyed at the fact that people are protesting for Black Lives Matter. Get out of your head. White supremacy is a thing. If I had been black when I moved to this country, I would have had a really fucking hard time. And I have known that my entire life in Ireland, that because my skin is white, I've got away with a hell of a lot of white privilege. And it's shit that it should be like that, because everyone deserves a fair chance at life. I am an immigrant from Africa. I am proud of my African heritage. I am also proud of the fact that I can call myself Irish too. I am proud to be from both parts of the world. I am proud to have global heritage. God, my family is like from everywhere. But because I'm white, I was accepted into Irish society very easily, even though the only claim to my Irish citizenship is the fact that my grandmother was born here and she didn't even live here her whole life. Okay, so if you think that color is not an issue in this country, get out of your head and realize that it is. And by staying quiet and not admitting that and by speaking out about the fact that Black people also commit crimes, you're ignoring the fact that millions of Black people all over the world are targeted as criminals because a handful of them commit crimes, regardless of the fact that tons of white people also commit crimes and they are not targeted as criminals. That's what this entire thing boils down to. You can't just assume something about someone because of the color of their skin. People are shocked when I say that that I wasn't born here, that I grew up on the other side of the planet, that I was left my entire life behind because of the color of my skin. People thought I was lying in school. People legitimately thought that I was a straight up liar because I had white skin. And I got so much shit in school just because my skin was white. People wouldn't believe my culture. They wouldn't believe where I was from. And they just found it really hard for them to wrap their head around the fact that white people came from Africa too. Oh my God. God forbid I had been Black. The amount of shit I would have got in school. So if you think that racism isn't a problem, I'm telling you that it is. And everything all over the world that's happening right now should be enough to tell everybody that racism is a problem. And if you think that it isn't, you are part of the problem. And you need to sort some shit out. If you have questions, please reach out. Okay? I would love to just help people see what they're not seeing right now. If you're posting on Facebook about giving out about immigrants and saying that this is a welcoming country, look up direct provision and see how the Irish have been treating refugees. That's all you have to do. Do a bit of research, educate yourself, and realize that the world isn't as beautiful and fluffy as you think it is, because you get to live in your white supremacist bubble, because you are treated better because of the color of your skin. I'm gonna stop ranting now because this just really pissed me off. But I hope everyone has a really good weekend. I'm sending love to every single one of you, no matter what the color of your skin is. You're loved, you're cared for. And if you have been affected by anything regarding this color of your skin, I'm so sorry. And if I can help, I will help. I will spread as much information as I can. I will send people documentaries. I will answer questions. I was going to do this as a live stream, but I figured it might end up in an explosion of an argument. I might yet do a live stream if I get too much shit on this and I need to answer questions. But please, if you want to know what this is all about and you don't understand it, reach out. Just reach out and ask. Because a movement this big does not happen just because one person has been killed. It doesn't. It doesn't. Inequality exists. And as a world, we are trying to fight for equality for everyone. Because everyone deserves it. And everyone is human. And everyone has a heart and a home and a family. Everybody has love and kindness and generosity in them. We just have to give everyone a world to live in that brings out the best in every person on the planet, so that we can all help each other thrive and we can all help each other live a better life. Have a beautiful and amazing weekend, everybody. Reach out if you have questions. I'm going to stop talking now. If you've watched this far, well done. Have an amazing week, everybody.